The first time I noticed the hidden camera, my brother told me I was imagining things. Which honestly should have been my first clue. It was tucked high in the hallway smoke detector outside my apartment door. Tiny lens. Barely visible unless light hit it sideways. I only caught it because I'd dropped my keys after a 14-hour shift and bent down at the exact angle. Funny how life works like that. I remember staring up at it while cold air drifted through the hallway vent, thinking. No way. Then thinking. Actually, yeah. There's definitely a way. Because my older brother Nolan had spent most of our lives treating privacy like something that belonged exclusively to him. Everybody else just rented it. See, Nolan was one of those guys who learned early that confidence could substitute for character if you wore expensive enough shoes. And people bought it. Neighbors loved him. My mother adored him. His clients trusted him. He had that polished suburban charisma that made people assume he was responsible because he spoke slowly and drove a German SUV. Meanwhile, I was the difficult brother. Quiet. Observant. The one who noticed things and unfortunately remembered them. Nolan hated that about me. I moved into the apartment building he managed after my divorce because honestly, I needed a reset. Cheap rent. Close to downtown Milwaukee. Temporary arrangement. That word temporary did a lot of emotional heavy lifting. My friend Serena warned me not to do it. Man's gonna treat you like an employee with shared DNA, she said over drinks one night. She wasn't wrong. At first it was subtle. Nolan would accidentally enter my apartment during inspections without notice. He'd comment on guests I never mentioned. Your friend with the red coat seemed nice. That stopped me cold. What friend? He smiled into his coffee. Saw her leaving. Except he hadn't been there that day. Yeah. That didn't sit right. Then packages started arriving already opened. Maintenance requests I never submitted somehow got completed before I called. One afternoon he casually mentioned I'd been coming home late lately. Like he was my landlord and probation officer combined. I swallowed it for months because that's what families train you to do sometimes. Maintain peace. Smile through discomfort. Pretend boundaries aren't bleeding. The thing about Nolan though? Guy loved control too much to hide it forever. That's always the crack. I started noticing other things around the building. Elderly tenants suddenly charged mysterious maintenance adjustments. Security deposit deductions with vague paperwork. Lease renewals pressured through rushed meetings. Nothing illegal enough to explode immediately. Just slimy. Structured slimy. And whenever someone pushed back, Nolan used the same calm tone. You probably misunderstood the policy. Man could make fraud sound like customer service. The camera bothered me most because it changed how I moved inside my own home. I'd pause before opening my door. Lower my voice during phone calls. Start feeling watched even when I couldn't prove it. That messes with you after a while. Serena noticed before I admitted it. You're shrinking, she told me one evening while helping unpack groceries. I laughed it off. She didn't. Then she looked toward the hallway and said quietly, "Why's your smoke detector blinking blue?" That's when my stomach dropped. Because smoke detectors don't blink blue. Not like that. After she left, I stood on a chair and checked it properly. Miniature lens. Memory card. Whole thing wired badly behind cheap plastic. I remember just sitting on the kitchen counter afterward staring at it while rain tapped against the window. Not angry yet. Just tired. Tired in that deep older brother way where disappointment outweighs surprise. Most people think betrayal explodes. Real betrayal usually sighs first. I didn't confront Nolan immediately. That part matters. Because impulsive people hand over leverage before they understand what they're holding. Instead, I called Serena. Now Serena worked compliance investigations for a regional property management firm, which meant two things. 1. She knew tenant law cold. 2. She absolutely hated people who abused small power. When I showed her the device, her whole expression changed. Please tell me you didn't touch the card. Nope. Good. That was the moment this stopped being family drama and became documentation. Over the next week, we moved carefully. Serena helped me review building complaints, public filings, tenant notices. Patterns started surfacing fast. Nolan had been entering units without proper notice for years. Charging fake administrative fees. Using internal cameras far beyond legal limits. And apparently mine wasn't the only hidden one. That's when I knew, this was gonna get messy. Still, I waited. Patience again. People like Nolan destroy themselves. If you give them enough room. The trigger came during the annual tenant appreciation dinner in the building courtyard. Which already sounded fake enough to deserve air quotes. Nolan loved hosting those events because it let him perform professionalism in front of residents. White folding lights. Catered barbecue. Expensive watch visible exactly the correct amount. At one point he clinked his beer bottle and started giving this speech about community trust. I almost laughed into my soda. Then he spotted Serena beside me. Bad move. Nolan walked over smiling that polished smile. You still filling Marcus's head with conspiracy theories? Serena stayed calm. Just helping him organize paperwork. For what? I answered before she could. For the attorney. Tiny shift in his face. Barely there. But I caught it. Nolan chuckled softly. Come on, man. You really want to turn family into legal drama? There it was. Not denial. Deflection. Classic Nolan. I looked at him for a long second and said quietly, you put cameras inside residential hallways tied to private units. His smile froze. A couple nearby tenants looked over. Nolan lowered his voice instantly. Careful. Funny word choice. Careful. Like truth itself was dangerous. Serena calmly handed him an envelope. Inside were photographs, device serial numbers, tenant statements, and copies of maintenance discrepancies tied directly to his management account. The color drained from his face so fast it honestly startled me. He looked at me instead of Serena. That hurt more than anger would've. Because underneath all the arrogance, he genuinely thought I'd keep protecting him forever. You went through my records, he asked quietly. No, Serena said. Your tenants did. And that was the real ending right there. Not revenge. Consequence. The property ownership group launched an internal investigation within days. Turns out corporate executives get very motivated when illegal surveillance threatens lawsuits. Nolan lost management authority almost immediately pending review. Several tenants received reimbursements. Policies changed. Security oversight got rebuilt from scratch. And me? I moved out 3 weeks later. Not dramatically either. No screaming match. No cinematic goodbye. Just boxes. Elevator rides. Rainy Tuesday morning. Nolan stood near the lobby while I loaded the last container into Serena's truck. He looked smaller somehow. Not physically. Structurally. Like authority had been the thing holding his posture together. Right before I closed the truck door, he finally said it. You could have talked to me first. I almost smiled. Because there it was again. The family motto. Protect comfort first. Truth second. I looked at him and said calmly, I did. You just installed cameras instead of listening. Then I got in the truck and left. And for the first time in years, Walking into my own hallway no longer felt like entering someone else's version of me.